It's the Brad and John Show.
You know, some things you have to do twice. Okay, this is the B Block, the Bravo Block. Today's date's October 23rd. And John, you are, interestingly enough, 2/3 of Brad's top 3 this morning. How about that?
Oh, exciting. How does that jingle go? Can I sing it?
Yeah, go ahead and try.
It's time for Brad's top 3.
It's time for Brad's top 3.
I think you nailed it that time. I think you were right on pitch with the girls. Way to go, John. One more time, ladies. And what do we start off with top 3?
It's number 3.
John made news yesterday, our very own John Combest, because he found out the reason why Rennie Knott is no longer at Channel 5, because Rennie Knott released his new pronouns of her.
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations to Rennie.
Do you want to tell
Can I give the setup for that, Brad?
Yes, John, I was hoping you would, which is actually sort of funny. Go ahead.
Yeah, so 97.1, which is, in my opinion, an awesome station. And I go to their podcasts daily. For example, you can find Annie Fry's interview with Josh Hawley, literally the top link on my website today. And I check Annie's show every day. I check Mark Reardon's show every day. I check Mark Cox's show every day to take interviews and put them on johncombest.com. Now, 97.1, I don't think Annie Fry's show does this, but Mark Cox's show and Mark Reardon's show use, I guess, a pretty standard whatever Odyssey or whatever company does the summaries. They do an AI summary that they post that ends up on Apple Podcasts. So the other day, Rennie did an interview with Mark Reardon and opened up about what happened with his dismissal from KSDK, or his decision to leave, whatever you want to call it. And the AI summary said that Rennie Knott opened up about her decision to leave KSDK. So I helpfully screenshotted it, and instead of tweeting it to my followers, I just replied to the 97.1 tweet and said, hey, the AI bot that you use to do transcripts thinks that Rennie's a woman. Out of respect to Rennie, you might want to tweak it. And Mark Reardon responded graciously with a facepalm to the head to say, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. And then Rennie responded to Reardon responding to me and did a black man doing a facepalm to the head to say, wow, here's what AI does. So, Brad, you know how I feel about people using AI and not taking 30 seconds to check it and see if it's right.
So Rennie really did not get fired because he made his pronouns of her? That was the reason?
I don't think so. I think it probably had something to do with something else. Now, another great AI example of AI summaries is one time, I believe it was John Lamping was on Reardon's show and was talking about just different fundraising things in the Senate. And the summary from Reardon's show that I scanned said that Caleb Rowden went to an Adam Schnelting fundraiser and was handing out piles of cash, when that's nothing like what was said there. I think within the same 30-second period, somebody made reference to Caleb Rowden being the former leader of the Senate, and then Adam Schnelting had a golf tournament. And so the point is, when AI tries to find connections between things, it's not perfect. So if you don't have a pair of human eyes looking at it, you end up with a bunch of brainless AI slop.
Well, now hold on a minute now. That woman that's on the scooter in Walmart, I don't think she looks like brainless slop to me. I think she's quite attractive. And she's talking.
Yeah, she is. You know what the beautiful thing is? If you created a profile for her and you sent her to 100 men your age, Brad,
yeah,
I bet 69 of them would respond and say, you're looking extra good, Dolly. You remind me of the dames that I met back in the 60s. Can I send you some money on the Cash App?
Yeah, Venmo me some money. Yeah, okay. Now, you listened to the interview with Mark Reardon and with Rennie Knott.
Yeah, I did not. Of course not. I don't have time for that.
You didn't listen to it?
No, why would I? Brad, I'm not interested in the Rennie Knott story.
Oh, okay. I was just sort of curious. Okay, so in that case, we'll just move along to number 2. How's that? You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, if I can get my computer to work right. It's being a little bit malfunctionitis this morning. Okay.
It's time for Brad's number 2. It's time for Brad's number 2.
Okay, I will say this again, and not because they're on my station, When I used to go to Kansas City a lot for my kids, when my two sons lived in Kansas City, I can't remember if I was listening to KCMO and KMBZ, and I believe they're still on there, but the Armstrong and Getty Show, which we now have in this very radio station, which has come on in 27 minutes from right now. Excellent show. The last couple of days, they have done an incredible report. Matter of fact, on Tuesday, they took one whole hour and talked about this lady's, she had a book that came out a couple years ago, and recently she had an article that was on Compact. You ever seen, what is this, compactmag.com? You ever heard of this before?
No, I haven't.
And the article is titled The Great Feminization. And it's absolutely this update article, and I printed it out. Matter of fact, it's just like an article. It's not like a whole book. She did write a book earlier, and I printed it out, and it's like, I think, 17 pages long. I'll summarize two interesting things about this. First off, one of which is sort of interesting because it involves me and my daughter. My daughter started law school in 2011 at Washington University. I don't know if I ever told you this story, told the story on the air before, John, but we went to orientation.
You were taking the tour. What happened when you took the tour,
yes,
Brad?
I have told this before. And the way it was, we had orientation it was parents' orientation, and the morning we had the dean and people talk and stuff like that. And then before we broke for lunch, they said, okay, we're going to round you up into groups of 10, and we're going to give each one of you an L3, in other words, a third-year law student, who's going to tour the building with you, and then you're free to go to lunch. So we had this nice young lady who was an L3 who took us all, and once again, it was 5 couples, man and one, mother, father. So there's 5 women, 5 men. So we're going through the building, and we're talking, she's talking about, this. And then she stops in the hall, and she looks at the women specifically. She says, ladies, I want you to know I've done a little homework that you may be interested in. She said, your sons and daughters will be the class of 2014. And I went and I did some research on Washington University. I went back to 1944, and I get the numbers wrong, but I'm close. She says in 1944, the class of 1944 was 95% men and 5% women. And she goes through the years. 1954, it was 90% men, 10% women. 1964, it was 25% women, 75% men. And she smiles and she says, if the class stays the same, in 2014, the class will be exactly equal. It will be half women and half men if the class that is right now starting out graduates in 2014. Now, I bring this to the interesting thing, and this lady, Helen Andrew, who wrote this article, she says that in 2016, 2 years after my daughter graduated, it changed to the point nationally, it's like 58% women and 42% men. She gives all these interesting statistics. The one that caught my attention, and Armstrong and Getty talked about this, yes, I read this entire article, and I'm going to buy the book. Matter of fact, I ordered the book because I think I find this fascinating. She said, and I'm going to throw this out to you because I want your feedback on this. She said, one of the problems with discipline in schools is because of the feminization of the schools, specifically the management of the schools, the principals, and the assistant principals. Now, you know where I'm heading with this, John?
Is that they're men while the teachers are women? Is that the problem?
No, she said that in most schools, the people who dealt with discipline were like the associate principals, the assistant principals, and in most schools, those were always men. That the principal of the school was sort of like the president, and he had like these underlings who were the assistant principals, and the assistant principals were all men, so they made the students walk the walk and talk the talk. They were tough disciplinarians, okay? Now, almost all the women, almost all the schools, and I have friends of mine that are in school. Matter of fact, I have a couple of friends of mine that are still teaching, and they talk about this all the time. The principals are almost all women.
And so the problem is, sorry to interrupt, Brad, but so what you're saying is, what the report's saying is, that the women are going to be softer on kids who are truants, intentionally breaking laws. The kids are looking for some sort of rule to butt up against. And if the female associate principals keep giving them leeway, the kids are going to keep misbehaving.
or if they do no discipline whatsoever. Whereas in the old days, and God, John, I don't know about you, I can remember, I'm an old guy. I can remember the principals walking around my halls, especially Kirby Junior High. One principal had his paddle with him, and one principal had holes drilled in his paddle. And when he was asked why there were holes drilled in his paddle, you know what his answer was?
What's that?
As he swings it, the air flows through the holes, and it hits you even harder because
nice. Very good corporal punishment.
The paddle.
So the ideas, now that was one of the ideas. What was the other idea? You said there were two main ideas.
Well, but the law thing was, and she goes through this whole thing. This is a woman writing this, and what's interesting about it is Armstrong and Getty talked about the fact that they get a lot of feedback on their shows, and they were talking about this yesterday. I thought that was fascinating. They said when they started talking about this, they talked a little bit about it on Monday, and they gave a whole hour to it on Tuesday. I think they gave with us or our we run at different times, but I think it would have been the 9 o'clock hour for us on Tuesday. And if you go, matter of fact, you can go listen to the show. If you go to ArmstrongandGetty.com, you can find the podcast and listen to it yourself. They said there were all sorts of different things about this that they thought were going to really piss off the women listeners. They thought that, especially yesterday morning or Tuesday afternoon when they talked about this, that their mailbox would just be flooded with women saying, I can't believe you're talking about this. You guys are a bunch of male chauvinist pigs, blah, 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 blah. But instead, what did they get all Tuesday afternoon and all Wednesday morning? Compliments from women saying, you know what? This is exactly right. This is what's happened. And it's gotten out of control. And the whole feminization of the country to the point where the toxic masculinity, the whole bit, it's a fascinating article. And John, I want to send it to you. I know you'll never read it because I say stuff.
Yeah, I won't read it. I have seen chatter about it online. So I've seen the feminization report, and I've seen a lot of people weigh in on it. You don't need to send it to me because I'm not going to read it. If I'm interested in it, I'll seek it out and read it myself. But it seems to make sense, Brad. And now, to be fair, people who are inclined to listen to Armstrong and Getty are probably a little bit more likely to be sympathetic to the Armstrong and Getty arguments than the average chick sitting in a WashU social work lounge, right? But still, it does show that, of course, a lot of women agree with that.
Well, I will disagree with you and say that there are people out there. As a matter of fact, all you have to do is talk to Mark Cox talks about this from time to time, the various trolls they have, and so does Mark Reardon, that if he said, hey, these people that give us all this grief on the social media channels, show up at the station and I'll give each of you a $100 bill. They won't
show up. Yeah, they're just trolls. Right.
Right. Okay. The point being is Armstrong and Getty are used to getting flack on everything. That was their point. No matter what they say, if they say the sky's blue, people are going to say, no, it's not, it's green. And if they say Trump's a great guy, people are going to say, no, he's terrible. And the next day they say Trump's terrible, people are going to say, no, he's great. And they said, he said they didn't get one single negative email, or they also have a text line. Not one single communication from anybody negatively. Almost all the communication was positive from women, which I find fascinating. Okay, now I got to do a little setup here. Give me just 1 second here because you are my number one this morning. Okay, are you ready for this?
All right.
Okay, now I have
to... what is the AI version of John going to say? I can't imagine what words you're going to put in my mouth.
I'm not going to put anything in your mouth, John. I would never...
You would never do that.
I would never generate any AI audio.
Do I need to take my headphones off for this AI slop?
No. Hold on a minute. I can't find... I got to find you in my contact list here. I thought I had it here, but I don't. I mean, I'm not doing a very good job this morning. So what else is new? John Combest. Okay, here he is right here. Okay, I'm going to text you. I got to do this is like synchronized, so I can't blow it. I'm going to text you this as soon as I hit the number one thing. You ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
And now, big finish, Brad's number.
John, I am truly honored by the extent you will give this show, the effort you will give this show to promote this show. And
it was me that climbed the transmitter. You want to set that story up, Brad? Now, I saw a headline yesterday, and I figured it was some poor guy planning to end his own life. But then I forgot that my doctor prescribed me a bunch of muscle relaxers, and I just forget everything. So tell me what I allegedly did yesterday, Brad.
John Combest, he had a big sheet that he painted. Listen to John and Brad on FM 104.5. He with a big old one of those big cans of the new super big cans of spray paint. If you've seen those now, where you can paint your whole car with a real wide fan of paint. He painted this on his sheet, okay, and he went down in South County off of Higgy Road to climb the Channel 5 tower to hang this sheet from the top of the tower. And did you see the picture that I took of you on the tower yesterday, John? Did you get it? Did I just send it to you?
I saw whatever you sent me. I see the image that you created of me climbing, but I don't see a sheet in the background.
Well, it's you already put it on the tower. See, it's behind you there, and see the arch in the background. See, you're climbing the Channel 5 tower.
Yeah, I love how my head is about twice the size of a normal man's head there, Brad. It doesn't look photoshopped at all.
It's not photoshopped. It's AI. Okay, if you don't know the story, John Combest climbed the Channel 5 tower yesterday, and when finally, I think he got up, depending on which report you read, he got up to like 900 feet. And the other thing was, John, I didn't realize you had such good feet. You know, I've known you for a while now, but John did it barefoot. And anybody who's climbed any kind of a ladder or a tower or anything like that, you got to have some strong feet which don't have many nerves in them, because it's not comfortable climbing on tower rungs, on climbing pegs and things like that with bare feet, John. I hand it to you. Thank you.
Yeah, what dedication that I have.
When I heard this story.
But Brad, you've used this image of me in the flannel shirt before. Is there something different about this one? I don't mean to undermine your number one here, but like you've put me in that shirt and like a hard hat before. You've done other slop with that image.
When I heard this story yesterday, I thought, I've got a picture of John Combest climbing the Channel 5 tower.
There you go, Brad. That was me up on the tower. Remind me how that ended. Was I, I'm on so many muscle relaxers. Was I apprehended, or what did the guy that climbed it, which was me, did he actually have a banner with him, or why did he climb that tower?
Okay, he didn't have a banner. The true story is they're doing tower work down there. I think they're painting the tower, and the crew's down there working, and apparently the wind was too gusty, and so they all came off the tower, and they're down at the base of the tower, and some guy shows up. Now, the interesting thing was the crew apparently had hired somebody new, and this guy shows up, and at first the crew thought it was the new guy, but the crazy part of it was he had no climbing gear with him, and he was barefoot. So they trespassed him, and apparently they called the police, and the police came and told him, you got to leave the premises, blah, blah, blah. So he comes back when they're not looking, and he starts climbing the tower, and barefoot. And one of the crew's still there. They're on the ground, and one of the guys says, hey, man, he's going to kill himself. So he straps himself back up with his equipment and follows the guy up the tower, and this guy's making time coming up the tower. And trust me, this is not an easy tower to climb. This tower is 1,100 feet tall. It's down off of Higgy Road down in South County. And the crew member finally caught up with him and bear hugged him and said, dude, you're not going anywhere. And I don't know if they already had the tower rigged, or this is where the fire department came in with this, but they actually they rigged a rescue basket with a crane, and they lifted the rescue basket up to where this guy was, and they put him in the rescue basket and lowered him down. I mean, talking about a nutbag. And the crazy part of this is not the first time this has happened. There are guys that do, what base jumping is? You ever heard that term before?
Yeah, I have heard that before.
There are guys that climb towers and do base jumping. But what people don't realize is, if I have a tower crew that goes to our tower, we have to reduce power, because when the guys are up there in front of the antennas, it'll fry you. Literally, RF burns. If you touch it, you get these nasty burns. And even if you're close to it, and if you're a young guy, you may never have kids in your life, if you know what I'm saying. It radiates the nether regions, shall we say, and it's very effective at doing that. And this is just bizarre, weird stuff. And the guy was just a nutbag, And matter of fact, was interesting was that he said that when they interviewed him, he said, "I agree with what with Josh Hawley says about the union guys." That's what he said.
Oh, yeah, I bet he does, Brad. Well, I'm glad that I was able to climb like a monkey using bare feet. And I hope whatever gentleman is out there claiming that it was actually him that did it, it sounds like he's probably got a little something wrong with him, Brad. And I hope that somebody's able to help him.
John, thanks for doing it for the show. Okay, we're way behind.